I'm sure we can all agree that the marketplace is certainly not one lacking in choice. But where do you start? How do you know if it'll be a good fit for you?
What battery should you use?
Metal or plastic construction?
Long barrel or short barrel? Let's go.
Look, we understand. So today we're going to be attempting to use our decades of combined experience in the sport to make a simple to follow buyer's guide, which will hopefully be of use to any airsoft player, new or seasoned. If you follow these steps closely, you are absolutely going to end up with something that you love. We have 3 phases of this guide, and the first one is something we believe many other videos on this particular subject seem to be leaving out, the self-discovery phase. It's important to remember that we're all different in many ways, so there's never going to be a one-size-fits-all solution to this kind of issue. You can, however, help narrow down an upcoming purchase by asking yourself a few basic questions about your needs and abilities. For instance, what type of field will you be playing at most often? The size and amount of open space at your field will help you decide if you need something with more or less range, for example. On the subject of the field, what is their feet per second limit? You'll need to make sure that whatever you buy doesn't go over this, or in the case that it does, you also need to buy some mods that allow you to drop the power whenever needed, such as alternate springs. This is just to get the ball rolling, but you should be asking yourself questions about what your environment will demand of whatever platform you decide on purchasing. Another question you should be really asking yourself, especially as a new player, is what kind of endurance do you have? It is easy to overlook the fact that if you haven't had any real experience holding a weapon out in front of you for an extended period of time, then buying an all-metal saw for your first piece of kit is going to feel a bit like trying to carry around a cinder block around with you everywhere. This is in no way meant to discourage anyone, as the only way you're going to get used to such a thing, just like anything else in life, is with practice. We only say this to enforce that there's absolutely no shame in going with plastic or polymer construction when purchasing a new gun. While it may not be as durable as something made out of metal, a lightweight platform will greatly improve your agility as well as extend your stamina. The final thing you need to be asking yourself is, what do you want your role on the field to be? If you're on a team, maybe ask the members what would be helpful to the group. Maybe the team doesn't have a sniper or a CQB specialist. However you figure it out, you need to decide early on how you want to be using that platform on the field. If you prefer to rush a lot, then maybe an SMG would be ideal to help maximize your mobility. Or maybe you prefer to take your time and fight from a distance, then you're going to need something with a longer barrel. Thankfully, once you've taken some time to complete this step and very specifically figure out what your desires and capabilities are, you'll see that your options have been very quickly narrowed down. Now, the second phase is what we're calling the research phase. Sadly, this is where many people start, and ultimately it leads to all the confusion we talked about. But now that you've completed the first phase, you've got a much better idea of at least the type of gun you want. So let's say you've narrowed your class down to becoming a sniper, and you know you want something durable, bolt action, and comes with a scope. Well, that still leaves us with hundreds of options, so how do we narrow it down further? The key is now looking for patterns that appeal to not only your eyes, but how you're physically built. This frustrates us because so many tutorials overlook the simple fact that if you happen to have short arms, you're simply not going to be able to comfortably shoulder some fixed stock weapons. If you find yourself in this group, then make sure you know how far a grip can be from the butt plate of the platform before it gets too uncomfortable. If you don't know this, an easy way to find out is to just head over to an airsoft shop and ask them to try to shoulder some of the weapons. Most shops have no problem with this, and it'll save you a massive headache and potentially backache in the future. Another easy fix is to just purchase something with either an adjustable stock or a folding stock. The research phase is just about diving into the exact specs of your narrowed down options and finding out what works for you and your needs as an individual. By the end of this phase, you're going to have a pretty short list of options, and while it would be easy to just pull the trigger on one now, no pun intended, there's still one more important phase to the system. We call this part of the process the refinement phase, and this is arguably the most important because it's where you're going to be making your final decision. But a word of caution, this is not a choice you should be making on your own. Clearly you know that, and that's why you're here, and thankfully there are many others who have knowledge on the subject to share too. A great place to start is by finding an airsoft team or an experienced group, or maybe just one person who you really trust the opinion of that you can talk to about your options. These are the people who have done the testing for you already, so it's not a bad idea to start asking them questions about your shortlist. Ask if the guns are from a reputable manufacturer, if they are a good quality, if they perform well over time, things like that. Ask all the questions you can until you feel confident that you fully understand these platforms and what you can expect from them. You can also gain a lot of this information from reviews left by other customers to see what their impressions were. The goal here is to keep gathering information and removing options one by one until finally that shortlist becomes just one line. Now, does that answer every question you have? No, not even close. We know there's a lot more in terms of the specific details that go into picking out a gun, and in reality, this is all information you will likely learn along the way while you complete these phases. But fundamentally, this guide was designed to ensure you are making a choice that is going to be well thought out, decisive, and has rewarding results. If you would like to learn more about the specific types of airsoft guns, we've linked a video here for you to check out. That's all for today. Class is dismissed.